Welcome to the Six Figure Influencer Podcast. I am so happy you are here. So, today I have a short and sweet and super actionable podcast for you. This is going to be a good episode. You know, your girl is long winded, but I was so excited when I thought about this topic because this, especially lately, has been giving me so much life and has really shown a light in areas and parts of my own belief system that was lacking a little bit that I needed to clean up. And since doing the work and like pursuing what it is I'm going to be breaking down this episode, I've seen such a powerful shift in my own energy. And I am noticing, I kid you not, real-time results. It is the craziest thing. So super pumped about that. I decided to keep this one a little bit shorter today because I am in the process of preparing for our very first client retreat that I'm hosting for my clients. We are going to Austin, Texas. I fly out tomorrow. Me and Sarah, my ninja, we're flying out a day early to prepare. And we're hosting this at Miraval, Austin. So Miraval is like this super fancy wellness resort. I went last year with Sarah Dan, my then coach at the time, and it changed my life. I was like, I'm obsessed with this place. It's such a vibe. It's so beautiful. It's going to be actually like 1,000,000 degrees. But it's fine. We went last year in the summer too. And it was actually really lovely. So that's what I'm preparing for, to meet my girls down there and just take some group activities together and mastermind and relax and get massages and just soak up all of the abundance of such a beautiful place. And I'm so freaking excited. So I'm celebrating that. And I have 1,000,000 things to do before I leave tomorrow. But I, of course, wanted to get out an episode for you because I got your back. So, like I said, this episode, it's going to be shorter, very actionable, and it does come with a challenge for you at the end. I'm going to be challenging you to actually put this into action because that's how these things work, like actually work for you. So, get excited about that. And this episode is really for anyone that is calling in something big in your life or business. It could be really anything, but it hasn't happened yet. And I feel like this works best for the type of goals or visions that you feel like it should already be here. Like it feels almost silly that it's not here yet. Those to me, you're in such a prime spot to really like pull it forward and bring it to your reality when it feels like it should already be here. So I feel like if that's where you're at, this is going to be such a killer episode for you because it's going to shine light on a part of your belief system that might be lacking. And when we can do that, then we can fill that gap and then voila, it comes into fruition. So I feel like everybody listening probably has that thing that it's like, why is it not here yet? You are going to love this episode. And remember last week, if you listened to last week's episode, I was super, super professional. And I was like, hey, as you listen to this episode, I'm going to be launching a new program and I have no clue what the name is going to be. I know it's going to be about selling on stories and selling on social media, but that's really all that I have for you. Well, guess what? I have the information now. We are currently making this available. It is available as I speak, whether you're listening to it now or in the future. So I'm going to tell you for 1 minute what that is, and then we're going to get to the juice, the reason why you're here. So I am currently in the process of launching my newest program, Stories That Sell, because when you slay your stories, you increase your sales, period. So in this program, I teach you my complete story and DM strategy, the same one that has generated over $1 million in my business since 2020 and has since been refined for obviously what works now because social media is evolving all the time. Strategies that work evolve all the time. So I've totally refined this, and you will be learning in this program everything from planning to overall strategy to branding that stands out to the energetics, of course, and all that like actually move the needle and are actually going to get you more sales via your story. So if you are a business and you're growing any kind of business via your social media and you want to sell more on Instagram, this program is for you, Stories That Sell. So if you're interested in that or just want to learn more about it, the price point is excellent. So you can go to the link in the show notes and you will find that. Like I said, whether you're listening in real time or in the future, it's available either evergreen or launching live right now. So go check that out. Okay. Let's talk about the power of declaration and what that means and how this could be the missing link to that thing that you are so ready to pull into your business, into your life. And this is, I mean, it really could be anything in your life that again, you're just like, hasn't this happened yet? This feels so silly. Or you're working on getting to that point. It's just like this big thing that part of you believes that it's possible, but then another part of you is like, you might be a little wobbly on it. All right. So we're going to talk about the power of declaration. So when I think about what declaration means, and this is important because there's a couple of different facets to this that make such a big difference in terms of your energy and where you're at in terms of your inner belief about what it is that you want to create. Okay. So when I think about declaration, to declare something, so to declare something is basically out loud and typically to people. Typically, you are going to, if you're making a declaration, it's typically to at least one other person. So when you declare something, two very powerful things happen here. Number one, you make a decision, which is one of the most powerful things you can do in terms of whatever it is that you want to create. You decide, this is what I want. This is what I'm setting off to create. So decide, fun fact, the Latin root of it, if you break it down, D, like the D in decide, DE stands for off. And then side, CIDE, stands for cut or means cut in Latin. Like that's the Latin root. So it literally breaks down to mean you cut off all other options. And when we're thinking about energetics and really declaring what it is that you want and really like planting your flag and saying like, this is the thing I'm going to create, that decision, when you cut off all other options, there is such a powerful energy behind that, right? There's such a difference in energy behind somebody who is lukewarm about something, who has like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, on both sides of the fence, playing both sides, versus somebody else who's like, this is my side. This is where I sit. This is my decision. So when you declare something, you are declaring something specific. You have decided. You have energetically and literally cut, not literally, but cut off all other options. That is what you are going for. So that's the first thing that happens. And then the second thing that happens is you're declaring, you're making that declaration. So you've decided, and then you are speaking out loud this decision. So what I used to do, okay, and I caught myself, and I've only caught myself very recently, which is so interesting. But what I would do is I would make many decisions and I would decide very boldly to myself what it is that I want to create. But when it comes to declaring it and really putting it out and really you know, saying to somebody else this decision, I would hold back. I would decide and keep things to myself. And what's so interesting about that is the reason why I wasn't declaring it is why? Because I had a fear. What if it doesn't happen? Right? So, what does that tell you about my inner belief about that thing? That it's not probably not as high as I would think or that I would hope, and certainly not high enough to bring it into the now, right? Like you get what you put out. You know, as within, so without, as above, so below. So like your what you truly believe, that's going to be reflected to you. So I found like I wasn't making these declarations. Why? Because there was part of me that didn't believe it was going to happen. So when you declare something, it's like this energetic transmission, this energetic signature on what you actually believe will happen. And you're amplifying it. So, sure, you can truly believe something and just declare it to yourself, I guess. Decide and just keep it to yourself. Like, of course, that's also a scenario that can play out. And I'm sure I've done this in many times in my business. But what's cool about declaring something, like the power of declaration, is it shows that like I've decided and I believe because I'm sharing it, and then it's amplifying that energy. So when you understand the power of your thoughts and the power of aligning your energy to the frequency of what it is that you want to bring back into your world, then you then realize that the good energy, the energy that you want to create, the you know, the good things that are flowing into your life, that you're like, I want more of that. You want to amplify that, because the more that you amplify that energy, the more of that you're going to get back. So when you declare something and you say something out loud to one person or 10 people or however many, you're taking that energy and you are spreading it out and you are like fully amplifying it. So it not only speaks to your own inner belief, because most of us, if we're going to say something out loud to somebody, especially in terms of like a business goal or something, it's because we believe it's going to happen, right? Otherwise, like most people wouldn't say it unless, I don't know, I guess pathological liars are the exception to that rule. But most of us, if we're going to say it, especially in front of a group of people, that shows like we believe this. Like there is a very big part of us that believes that this is going to happen, which is so powerful. And now I'm amplifying it to more people. So we've decided and we've declared. That's like the power of declaration. So what brought this to mind for me, and I'm going to declare something in this episode that makes me nervous, but I'm ready to declare it. I'm finally ready to declare it. And how I got here and like what gave me the idea for this and what's been like bringing this up in my this thought and like thoughts around declaration for my own self is because I am in Melanie Ann Layer's mastermind, and I am probably the smallest business in this mastermind, maybe the second to smallest, maybe. And I mean, I'm sitting at a table full of women who are leaps and bounds ahead of me in terms of what they're creating business wise, in terms of their revenue, in terms of so many different things, their results, and that's why I wanted to be in this mastermind, because I wanted to put myself in a circle where like I'm the tiny fish, because I thrive on big fish energy, because I know I'm going to be a big fish too, So anyway, I'm in this mastermind, and something that the women in there do a lot is make very bold declarations all the time. Okay. So you're talking like, hey, this is going to be, I'm calling it now, my first 200K month. I'm calling it now. This is going to be like, I'm feeling it. I'm 7 figures this month. I'm about to crack my 7-figure code. I'm about to, right? It's just like constant declarations and celebration. So there's a ton of celebrating too, but oftentimes it is preceded by a declaration. So I started noticing this theme because I've talked about celebrations before. And this is one of the things that I noticed a year ago in my own business. I noticed that so many people were celebrating. They were celebrating their money wins and their big wins in their business, and really just anything in life. It wasn't even just business, but people were celebrating like freaking crazy in these spaces. And it shined a light on how I wasn't. And I realized the reason why they were doing that is because they wanted to amplify the energy of what they wanted to call more in, right? Which is also like a form of declaration. But what I didn't notice at the time is that most of these people they didn't just show up out of nowhere with a celebration. A lot of these people probably started with a declaration, a public declaration. This is what I'm setting out to do this month, this quarter, this year, this week, today. This is what I'm setting out to do. And then came the celebration. So then I started noticing this correlation, especially in the mastermind, because I'm so close to these ladies and I'm seeing so many conversations in real time. They're not just celebrating. It started with a declaration. So then it was this light bulb for me. Like, wait a second. There's something to this declaration, right? So that's when I noticed, like, wait a second. Okay, I celebrate now. I do a lot more celebrating. I love celebrating. That's, it took me a while to warm up to this, but I love it. But when it comes to declarations, that's something that I don't do much of. Why? Why am I not popping in the mastermind and saying, this is going to be my X figure month? This is going to be my X figure year. This is going to be the month that I work way less and receive way more. Or this is going to be the month that I lean into self-care more than ever, whatever it is. Why aren't I doing that? And I realize when it comes down to the things that I really want to declare, I wanted to preserve myself. I wanted to make myself safe by not saying it out loud, because if it doesn't happen, then I've declared something and it didn't happen. And that doesn't feel great. So that shows right there, like that pokes the hole in my belief. If I truly believed that this was going to be whatever, or I was about to do whatever, I would declare it, especially in a safe place like my own mastermind where this is normal. Not saying like you have to do it publicly. Like I don't have to come here on the mastermind and declare what I'm about to declare. And I thought long and hard about it, but I was like, well, F it, because I'm going to ask you to do the same. So I'm going to do it too. Right. But I noticed like I'm not even doing this in the safe place. So this shows me that my whole self, my whole belief is not behind this. Otherwise, I absolutely would. So what I had to do for myself at that point, when I'm thinking about this very specific thing that I'm declaring, I had to ask myself, like, what is it? Why don't I think that's going to come? What are the reasons why I think this might not happen? And the reasons that come up are like, well, it's never happened before. And it feels like such a big thing, and part of me does believe it's going to happen for sure, like without a doubt in my mind. But this month, I don't know. I've declared this thing many times to myself privately, and then it didn't happen. And that kind of feels bad. So I've had to kind of like do some work around this and build my belief that, like, if I could believe that this was going to happen this month, what would I have to believe? If I had to build my belief that this was the month, this was going to happen, what would I have to believe? How would I have to look at things differently? So now I'm looking at my business from a different angle. And what I realized was, actually, I've never been in a better position than I am now to call this thing in. Never. Like, it's actually quite realistic that this happens sooner rather than later. So like by looking at it from a different angle and asking myself those questions versus like, how would this happen? And it's like, I don't know. I've never done it before. So how am I supposed to answer how it's going to happen? But like, what would I have to believe? How can I look at things in a different way? So then I'm like arguing for myself. And now I'm building my belief that, like, wait a second, this should already be here. Like, it's kind of ridiculous that it's not. So now I've gone from, I want it and I think it's coming, or I know it's coming at some point, but I don't know about anytime soon, to like, wait, why isn't this thing here now? And then I realized, like, that was why I needed to fill in those gaps. So where I noticed I wasn't declaring out loud, poke the holes in my belief, it shone the light through those holes and showed me what part of my belief was lacking. Now I got to fill in those gaps. Okay, this is where it's lacking. This is where I'm wobbling a bit. Cool. Let's patch that up. And now your girl is patched. And I am ready to declare that July 2022 is going to be my first 6-figure month. That is what I am declaring right here. I've already done it in my mastermind, and I'm declaring it here too, because it's bold. It makes me feel nervous. And because I truly do feel like it's silly that it hasn't happened yet. Like, now that I've looked at things differently, like, of course. And I don't need to defend this, but I'm just going to, because I'm saying this on a very public platform. And if you're new to me, I want you to understand why this means something to me, because we're all here to grow and evolve, right? Like, especially if you're growing a business, your job is to grow your business and keep growing your business. And furthermore, that's just like part of my identity. And the reason why, like, my big why for why I'm doing this podcast, for why I'm building this, my own business, and teach what I teach and work with women the way that I work with women, is to show what's possible, to expand your belief in yourself, to show you that if I can do this, you can too. If other women can do it, then we can too. So my goal is to keep like evolving and growing. And I've so far, in terms of revenue, the highest that I've hit is $77K a month, almost 78. And I'm declaring, and by the way, I'm recording this on July 19th, 2022. I don't know if we can do timestamps on this podcast, but it will come out in a few days. And I'm declaring this. So we're a little over halfway of the month, and I'm putting it out there. It's going to happen. And I believe it will happen. Now, here's what's really cool. See, this is already becoming longer than I intended because now you got me going and I have so much to say, but we're going to wrap it up in a second. Here's what's so cool about this and why I wanted to bring this conversation here. And what I was talking about whenever I said, I'm already seeing like really fast results from this. So I was doing this work for myself 2 days ago. I really like this thought of declaration, and these themes have been kind of popping up for me. So I've been doing the inner work. I've been doing the journaling. I've been doing the conversations with my coach and really kind of just like feeling this out for myself. I realized that I wasn't declaring. Why wasn't I declaring? Okay. And I filled in those gaps for myself. And yesterday morning, so I'm recording this on the 19th. So this was July 18th in the morning. I did my full morning routine and I declared to myself, like, this is where I had already built the belief, and I declared to myself and I was like, this is it. Like everything is in place. Like it is actually quite realistic that I could very easily have a 6-figure month, like with all the programs that I have available, with all the ways to work with me. Women come out of the woodwork all the time wanting to work with me. That's not planned. So things can happen in any moment, right? So I'm going to continue amplifying that energy and holding that space for these possibilities for this to flow in. And I'm so freaking grateful for where I am right now. And like, if I don't make another dollar this month, I am so freaking grateful for what's here and what's happening. And I truly believe that this is happening, that this is going to take place. And I'm already seeing the celebration. Like I'm already envisioning my conversation with my coach and coming here on the podcast and telling you I did it. I made it happen. And so can you. And of course, here's how, and here's how you made it happen. Right? Like I'm doing that. And I got in my mastermind, like that morning after journaling, I got in my mastermind's Voxer and I declared it. I said, ladies, this is it. It's my 6-figure month. I feel it in my bones. Like it should have happened by now. I feel so good about this. And I said, I think it was like 46K for the month. And this was the morning of July 18th. All right. And I said, I totaled like 50K in a little under two weeks. I've done it before. Of course, that can happen again. Okay. So I'm holding space for that. When I tell you what happened next was so not planned and so magical, it was the coolest thing that I had experienced. So right after sending that, and I'm talking minutes after sending that, I get a payment, an automatic payment from a current mastermind member that I forgot, like she had done payment plans. So I wasn't accounting for that payment. So I get this automatic payment, thousands of dollars. I launched Stories That Sell, got some instant payments for that. So like people started jumping on that really fast. And then all of a sudden, like throughout the day, it was just sales all day. I mean, like sales on sales on sales on sales all day. Like if you pulled up my PayPal notifications, like just my PayPal notifications on my phone, it took up the full screen of hundreds and $1,000 payments. Two people in my mastermind re-signed and paid in full that day on the 18th. One brand new person who had been like kind of thinking about the mastermind took action, joined the mastermind on the 18th. Like all of this happened on that day. I had a person join a program that I was kind of done selling, and then more sales for Stories That Sell. And I was like, oh my gosh. By the end of the day, my business had generated over $20,000 just that day alone in sales that I was not expecting to happen all in one day. Long story short, I went from like something one day, the 18th, to now, as I record this, I'm at $70,000 for the month, July 19th. So now it's like, this is happening, right? This is like, I declared it. my energy is so behind it. And now it's happening before my eyes. And it is so freaking fun. Now, would I be honest if I said to you, I have no worries in the world that, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to I won't feel embarrassed. I won't whatever. Like, yeah, part of me, if this doesn't happen in July, I'm going to come to you and I will be honest with you about it, as I am with everything else. And we'll have that conversation. And it's not going to be my favorite conversation. It's going to serve everything and everybody, whatever. But there's a loophole to this. Okay. So I got like a cheat code loophole to this that makes me feel so much better that you can use too. And what's so cool about this loophole is it allows me to detach from this. So anytime you're wanting to create anything, you have to believe it's possible, but then also you can't have this super tight grip on it to where it's like, if this doesn't work, I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to do this. Like, this has to work or else. Like, typically that energy doesn't serve most of us. Sometimes people they thrive with that energy. For me, not so much. So you need it, or it's really nice to have some level of detachment when it comes to creating the big thing that you want to create, right? So the loophole to this, are you ready for it? This or something better. Okay. This or something better. Because here's the deal, and here's the truth. We have a very limited view of our lives. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? We can only see from our 3D, 4D, 5D perspective, our 3D perspective, what's actually happening around us. That's all we can, we can only see so much, and we can plan and whatever. But at the end of the day, we are co-creators, right? I feel like most of us would probably agree there's a higher power that's got a hand in this too, who knows so much more than we do. So we have this limited perspective. So while I think it is absolutely in my highest good and your highest good for me to hit my first 6-figure month, July 2022, it may not be the best thing for some reason. I may not know why. There may be a reason why that shouldn't happen yet. I don't know. Okay. So when you finish off your declaration with this or something better, you're saying, I'm declaring this, but also I fully understand that I'm a co-creator. I'm not, there's other powers at be with this situation who has a much broader perspective and understanding than me. So I fully trust that whatever is meant to be will be. This is what I'm calling in. And if it's not for the best or whatever, this or something better, because whatever ultimately happens is the thing that's supposed to happen. But you have your full energy behind the thing that you want. So if that is meant to happen, if you have full belief behind it and you're amplifying it, if that truly is the best scenario to happen for your highest good and everybody else's highest good, guess what's going to happen? That thing or truly something better. Okay. So crazy, right? Isn't this so cool? This really blows my mind how simple these things can be. Yet, to me, it's so profound. When you really break it down and think about it, and you really start to pay attention to your true beliefs, it will tell you everything you need to know of why your outside experience and why your results are what they are. So something as simple as deciding and declaring out loud what you want to call in, the energy of that could be the missing link for you. This could be the thing when you do this work for yourself. If you don't fully believe it, if you don't believe it enough to declare it out loud, why not? Fill in those gaps. And then once you get there, once you finally build that belief, then do it. Prove it. declare it, this or something better. Like, so good. It's so easy. It's so freaking easy. So, my challenge for you, my love, is what is the thing? What is the thing that you are ready to call in, that you're like, this should be here? Or you don't even have to be that far yet. Maybe like once you do a little bit of belief work, like I talked about, you then can get to the point like I did. Like, wait, it's actually kind of ridiculous. This hasn't happened yet. Like it actually makes less sense that it hasn't happened than that it has, you know? So what is this thing for you? Decide and then declare it. Okay. You do not have to declare this on a public platform unless you want to, but declare it. Go to your partner, go to your best friend. If you're in a mastermind, declare it in the mastermind. If you're in my mastermind, I want to see your declarations in that group Voxer. If you're a private client, I want to see your declarations. And if you really want to amplify it and you want to do it on a public platform, declare it in your stories and tag me. I want to see your declarations because I want to amplify that energy with you. Like, let me amplify that with you. Let's call it in together. I will hold that energy for you. You hold it for me. I'll hold it for you. We'll amplify it together. Let's blow our freaking minds. Okay. So mine, 6-figure month, July 2022. I'm going to keep you updated. You already know, I'm going to tell you all the things. So we'll see how it goes, but I fully believe I'm going to be coming to y'all in August. Like, holy freaking moly, this works, which we already know it does. Is there something better? Okay. It definitely talked longer than I thought it would. I am funny. You know, I'm so funny sometimes. Okay. I love you. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Tag me in your stories. Let me know if you loved this. And I will see you here next week when I'm back from Miraval. I love you. Bye.